Heidi ho, everyone, and welcome aboard. Happy new trading week to you. And well, I suppose we better just explain our absence last week. For those of you who didn't know, there was a trading retreat on. And of course, Ash heavily involved in that. I wasn't as involved as I have been in the past. And of course, we did it virtually rather than in Bali, as we do and have done for the previous 4 years. But of course, restrictions around travel and good reason for that, COVID-19, of course, prevented us from doing that live in front of the Platinum members and invited guests. But wow, again, what a week. Incredible sharing from some very, very talented traders and very, very skilled traders, institutional traders, stock traders, currency traders, you name it, traders. What a week it was. And if you ever get the opportunity to go to a trading retreat, then I'm sure, like most of us, you would be just a little bit more, a little bit wiser in terms of how to go about your trading, etc., etc. Anyway, I won't dwell on that. We've got a new way to trade the pound these days. I'm going to run it. Let me explain, I guess, first up that Peter Mitchell, our very, very wise, learned, and skillful programmer, has also been trading the pound US dollar breakout at London Open time, and he's back tested everything, right? And the best one he's come up with is the one I'm going to show you now. But he's also going to test my latest version of trading the breakout, and I'll explain the way he's developed it as a result of a back test and something like 71% successful. So that's not bad. Little less in terms of potential reward per trade, but the frequency, it does interest me, and it's far better for me to have a high frequency of wins than it is to get the occasional big winner. But we're going to run these side by side for a while. It's going to be a little bit tricky to actually manage that. Let's see how we go. The nature of the beast, of course, is that we do get a breakout, and if we do get a breakout, then it could go very, very quickly. I'll briefly explain to you what Peter's come up with. And hi Lewis, how you doing, buddy? And he's come up with a breakout of the 5 previous bars rather than the 3. Today that will be this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. Ours will be the 3. Very much the same thing. We'll be a little bit later into the market if there's a sell. But what Peter does, he's all out at a pivot or a support or resistance area after entry. So his exits today would be naturally daily pivot and probably DR2, I would imagine. I don't know if he's using weekly resistance, but that'd be his all outs. They'd be pretty decent, or certainly the long would be a pretty decent reward today if that were to be the case. He enters the market 3 pips above the high of the bar or of the range of the last 5 bars, and he enters the market short 2 pips below. And this will sound familiar to you because that's pretty much exactly what we were using in a previous version of this. But that's it, 5 bars. There's no TP1. There's no mucking around. It's target or nothing. And as I say, the back testing on that is pretty decent. So let's go with the way I'm going to trade it, and then I might be able to place his on an EA. But now at least you know the rules for that alternate setup. All right, the short's going to be below that one at 137.23 for us, or for me. 137.23 will be the short entry. The stop loss on that, it's not going to show me. I hate that. These charts used to be so easy to use. 137.42 will be the stop loss on the sell. This is the beta test mode model, right, guys? It's not a TP all, it'll be a TP1. I hope this doesn't go quickly, otherwise I'll never be in it. TP1's going to be, what's the risk? 37.23 to 42, so that's 9 pips will go 4. 37.19 will be TP1. So that's the short. I'll come back and give you the other one in a tick. TP2 will be 18 pips, so it'll be 1.3705. And that's your short order. Okay, I'll just place that. So we've got a sell stop. At 137, I can't even see it, 23. And the stop loss is 137.42. I've got that wrong, haven't I? The TP1 I have. That's if those numbers are right, and I think they are. Something slow going on here, right? Okay, just let me check that. 137. Okay, so when 19 is the stop loss, not 9. So it's 9 pips. So 1.3714 is actually TP1. Sorry about that. And TP2 will be 38. So it'll be 1.3685 for the short. Okay, that one's good. Now the long will be trading this bar. So 1, 2, 3, yep. We'll be trading the high of that bar, which is 1.3753. The TP1, stop loss will be, I have to get rid of that again, 1.753, the low of that bar, 1.3729. Is the stop loss, which gives us, that doesn't look right. No, let me get that right again. 1.3729 is right, and 53. I just said the wrong number, sorry. 1.3729. Which gives us 24 pips, so 12 will be our TP1. $12 pips, 1.3765. TP2. Will be, what did I say? 24, so 48 pips on top of that will be 1.3801. Will be TP2. Okay, I think I've got that right. 2 seconds. Permission to... Caillou, if you could put your second name, please, in your request to enter the room. We need 2 names, unfortunately, because of trolls. So if you could just give us a second name if you want to come into the room, and that's no problem. We'll admit you as long as you have 2 names in there. That would be great. Thank you. Okay, so let's put our take profit levels on here so we know what we're doing. And then I'll go with the computerized version of this, if you like. 1.3753 becomes 1.3765. So there's our TP1 right there. On the sell, our TP1 is 1.3714. Just pretty much bang on that. Okay, now what I'm going to do is employ the trade manager to go with the second version. We're going to run these side by side, guys, because we want to know which is best, okay? So it's us versus the computer. Do I want to manage? Didn't even know I had a trade on there. No, I don't. Okay, so we're going to go with that's the same high, but we'll enter at 1.3755, not 1.3753. Make that, I'll round it, 1.3756. We'll use a full 3 pips rounded up off the top. So the entry on that's going to be 1.3756. So that's the high of the 5 bars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The low, that looks like the low to me. And that's going to be the same as our short entry, except we've got to take 2 pips off it. So 1.3756 is our entry, and that's for the long, 1.3721. Wow, this is not complex at all. We'll just trade on my strategy. Again, I'm not trading this at any major risk, guys, because to me it's yet unproven. 1.3756 is the buy. Stop loss is 1.3721. And we can put a TP all in at daily pivot level. TP1 we don't want. TP2 we don't want. It's the target we want. And take profit pips. 3756. 1 point. Where's DR1 gone? DR2 we want. So 1.3791 will be, I better have a look for a resistance level before I do that. So it's going to be 35 pips. 35 pips is the take profit on the buy. Okay, so that's set. The sell, now I'm going to have to use a new chart for that. My goodness. How complex is this? Yeah, okay. Chart window. Guys, good luck keeping up with this, by the way. But you should be okay if you don't do anything. You just follow what I'm doing. What am I looking for here? A template. Template, that one is good. And we're looking for a sell here, aren't we? On the trade manager. Right.
Good morning, mate.
Hello, buddy. How you doing?
I'm all right. How's things?
Did you get some sleep over the weekend?
No, there was another course yesterday. So
there wasn't. My
God.
God.
Yeah. Started at midnight my time. So it was a lot going on, mate. But fascinating stuff.
Oh well, right. Wow! What a 3 weeks you've had, 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
For some reason,
incredibly.
It's not playing here. I'm still trying to set the second breakout order, and it's not playing ball with.
You got the first. You got all the numbers. Well, when you're ready, mate, you can give me the numbers. Take your time and do that first.
Yeah, I'm just trying to set the sell, but it won't let me. I'm going to have to get rid of that and start again.
Okay.
It's stuck.
Have you seen what's going on with silver, mate? Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I saw it. What? Any reason?
Yeah, the Reddit crowd. The Reddit crowd are on it again. So they've
Oh,
managed to push
really?
yeah. Yeah.
Why silver?
Because the price of silver is low enough for them to manipulate.
Oh, okay. This is
Yeah.
a really interesting phenomenon.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. They've caught them out twice. I mean, it is just they all get together, and it just goes to show, there's there's power in community. I mean, this is probably the best example of how a community can actually do something incredible to stop prices, and so far they're beating the city in some of these.
Of course, the interesting question is, and from a purely logical point of view, if you've got hedge funds shorting something, it's kind of interesting to see that a retail trader, well, a combination or collaboration of retail traders can actually pull them down.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's an incredible concept, and I imagine it's got a lot to do with leverage.
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, I don't know how they're trading the asset, but I suspect, that they can hold the asset, and that's the thing. They're going after things that are cheap enough for them to, if they've got, I don't know, 100,000 members and they all put in $1,000, then they can significantly move a price of something when it's got fairly, relatively weak liquidity at that particular period. So they can start to shift the price of something, and all they need to do is kind of crash through a few shorts, a few stops, and the shorts are covered, and the price just boosts up, and massive gaps going on. We're seeing Fresnillo, a silver-based stock. I think it's up around about 15% currently. But gaps open up 15%. The big problem really comes in that they are pushing prices beyond their intrinsic value. So
by heaps, yeah.
Yeah, so people can get caught out on the wrong side of it, join the party late, and then all of a sudden they're caught in a trade that they really do not want to be involved in.
Okay, it looks like we've been triggered along on the original. I don't know what to call it anymore. What do we call it? So I'm running the computerized version alongside this at the moment, so I don't need to worry about those shorts on both, I would think. Yeah, they're both triggered now. Why isn't that showing? Should be.
So you got them both triggered. Okay, let me know
56,
the numbers.
that's why. Right, our trade, which is our test trade, right now they've both been triggered. I'll just get rid of the shorts, mate.
Okay. Have they both been triggered long?
Yep. Oh, no, don't want to do that. Both been triggered long, yes.
Okay. Entry for our one
is 1.3753. Stop loss.
Yep.
1.3729. Delete sell. That's what I want to do. And I don't think I got it on the other one. First take profits at 137.65.
1.3765. Yep.
And TP2 is 1.3801.
01. Okay.
So the sell is not going to be active. That's all good. And I've got both longs in the market. Good. Right. Wow. That's taken me all that time. We'll have to work out a way to do that.
Okay. And the buy. Sorry, the other one.
The other one is at 1.3756.
3756. Yep.
TP all is 1.37. 9-1.
9-1. Okay, and the stop loss?
On that one is be that one there. Oh, hang on, 37 pips. So the entry was 56. Be 19. That's 1.3719 will be the stop loss on that.
3719. Okay, fantastic. All right, yep. So this is the pound dollar.
I haven't got many thoughts on currencies this week yet. I've had a bit of a look at my my weekly charts, and I'm not that excited, I've got to say, at this point.
They're a little bit light. You know, at the early part of the week anyway is a little bit light on news. However, there are a few things that we should discuss.
First week of the month, we'll have the Aussie, we'll have the pound as well. We've got BOE, yes.
Yeah. There's a few bits and pieces. The ISM as well.
NFP
from
as
the
well,
States.
no doubt.
Quite possibly. Let me just check that. Yeah, things are a little bit quiet. We've got some PMI. So what's the PMI? Swissy retail sales came in very nicely. Spanish PMIs came in weaker than expected. So we're potentially seeing the Swissy moving up. So Swissy long, Euro short is the obvious, or Euro Swissy short is the obvious one there.
Not on my list.
Okay, that might be tradable on a short-term time frame. Let me just see.
You got any trades still in from last week or no?
No, actually, no, I don't. No.
Are we still on my chart?
We are at the minute, mate. Yeah.
Okay, I'll just very, very quickly update those who may still be in dollar yen. We bought dollar yen last week, and we're now trailing. We've hit TPs 1 and 2. We're now trailing on a weekly pivot. I haven't actually done that yet. So let me just go a bit tighter. Those of you who traded that with me, we traded this bar here, and just a genuine slingshot setup, as was the previous bar, frankly. And we got a nice little buffer off or bump, if you like, off the monthly pivot, which was interesting as well. So that's actually on its way. If this does reverse, this will turn into a pretty decent trade. So here's the weekly pivot. I'm just going to be a little bit more, probably there somewhere, a little bit more lenient than the weekly pivot itself. So I'm going to move my stops up to 104.25. So let's do that. 104.25. And I think the only other one that you guys would still be in probably would be Euro CAD, which is still just floating around in drawdown at the moment. We've got, actually it's not on that chart, is it? It's on that one. Stop loss is way up here, and our entry was down here. So we're, as I say, floating around in drawdown. But as I said, when we took this trade, this will be in the market for quite some time. And I don't expect, we could still be at Christmas time, guys, frankly, with this trade. It is on a week, no, it's on a monthly chart, isn't it? Weekly chart. Can't even remember. No, it looks like it. No. Yeah, weekly chart. Monthly chart. So, yeah, we could be here a long, long time. That's right. We're trading up here somewhere, I think. Nothing to do, guys. Just do nothing, absolutely nothing. One thing I would say with this, there's a potential here for another entry, but it's not anytime soon. But I'll go through that a little bit later when I go through my analysis. So that's it, mate, pretty much. Nothing else to report. Oh, actually, one thing to report, and that is Aussie Kiwi. Still waiting on Aussie Kiwi, again on this chart. And it is at a very interesting position now. We have terrible week for Aussie Kiwi last week, as you can see. And we had a lot of traders interested in getting this long. I was one, but my overall bias was short. I wanted price to get up to here to give me a short. And as soon as we got down to here, I'll be looking for a long. So that is now still the case. So if we got back above that channel line, which is where the daily pivot is, and then retested that, I'd be extremely interested in trading this long still. But there's no trade here for me yet. And I might be fortunate this didn't set up last week for a long, because there was just no opportunity. It didn't pull back. So that's it, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, well, let's have a look through these charts. Just having a look. Good morning, Alexi. And Lisa. Lisa's just saying that they're buying silver ETFs and physical silver from Walmart. That's why Bloomberg News said anyway. Does it make a difference today because of the new week that pairs go up or down to new levels? Yeah, there's going to be some volatility for sure. Right. Let's have a look. Now,
there's no way to survive that now, is there? If you've just got to watch it. I mean, you couldn't possibly buy it. You couldn't possibly sell it.
No, I mean, I think the really interesting thing with this is what's going on with gold. So let's just have a quick look here at the chart and
that'll be interesting.
Oh, and also, if anybody's got any questions, morning, Lewis. If anybody's got any questions in the chat, in the room, in Zoom, let's get on mic. Let's ask them on mic. Let's not do it on. Let's make this fully interactive and just having a chat with you guys, and rather than putting questions in the box, just stick your hand up and we can bring you on. Lewis, you happy to come on mic, mate, and let's have a chat about it. Okay, there we go. Let's make this more of a interactive thing that way. All right, we got what we got.
Trading talkback.
You can't. Okay, mate, no problem. All right, if you can't do it, no big deal. Leave it in the chat box if you can't come on mic. Okay, so let's start with the FTSE. Now, I'm interested in FTSE longs. I think that we are probably in a bit of a region where let's have a look, John. John, do you want to come on mic? Let's have a look at the FTSE. Now, I'm interested in FTSE longs. I really like this bar, lovely engulfing bar there. What I'm after is the retracement down to the bar. Now, I want it to dip under the daily pivot just a little bit and pick it up down here. I wonder whether it might shake a couple people out and give us some liquidity. So I'm after a FTSE long. I think that's oh, the host is not allowing it. Okay, Angel, could you give everybody the chance to unmute their mic? Is that possible when they want to come on? So give everybody the chance to unmute, and then they can choose when they unmute. Right. You're in, John.
Yeah. Afternoon, gentlemen, or good evening.
How are you, mate? Good weekend, right?
Sorry?
Good weekend.
Yeah, well, I really enjoyed it. I know absolutely nothing about stocks, but it was good to do it.
Yeah.
Guinea pig. No, all I just wondered, because I read the Reddit thing this morning, and I just thought, right, I'm not trading a thing. I'm not doing anything.
Yeah. I
thought, does gold follow silver?
Well, that's the interesting.
The prices go up and down, and that's the game, and people have got to make money. I'm neutral. I think unlucky the guys who've gone shorting with big loads of money. But on the same side of it, how far does this go in? This might be a bit long-winded. If they go to silver, they go to gold. Would they go to commodities next? I know they can't really do it in Forex because the market's too big. But do they go after other things as well?
Okay, let's have a look. Right, let me just fix up a chart here.
I think they'll certainly be keen to do so, John. I should imagine.
I was followed one hedge fund, and they lost 50% of their fund last week, I think.
Yeah, be a few people get nervous, mate, I would imagine.
Yeah, they absolutely will be. Hold on, let me just bring that in. Okay, here we go. What do I want is this. Okay, so have a look at this chart here. Right, this is gold and silver. Now let me just bring up silver is the one I want here. Where are you, silver? You should be here somewhere. There you are. There we go. This is the chart between gold and silver. And look how closely correlated they are. They dip here. This is 2018. Let's just make sure we're on the right. Yeah, daily's fine. Look at that, the dip there, then they both rise, then they both fall, both falling here, both rising up here. You know, it's almost a mirror image. You know, this the price action is gold, silver, and the blue line is gold. Gets a little bit scruffy in here. But so yes, the answer to your question is, does gold follow silver? Are they closely correlated effectively? The answer would be yes. Sorry, let me bring that back again and change the time frame. Let's do it on a weekly, just so we can go back even further. Look at this. You know, from the start of time, they are pretty much married. So it's not even like, you know, every now and again they get a little bit uncorrelated, but ultimately they start to pick up again. Now that makes this whole move really interesting, because the first question is this a sustainable move, what's happened with silver? Because if it is, gold has not yet moved. So it means that we should be shifting our attention to gold. However, if the gravitational pull is more about what happens to the gold price, then silver's going to come crashing down. Now, because of the way that this chart has been pushed up, that means that the intrinsic value of silver is being overinflated. You know, people aren't buying this because it is a genuine tradable opportunity, because it's got fundamental reasons. You know, there doesn't seem to be much fundamental reason to be looking at long silver, but with this kind of velocity and with this kind of move, so that suggests that the silver price will probably calm down. Trying to take a short here is you know, nigh on impossible. You wouldn't want to get involved in it, but it does. You know, that's what that's saying to me, is that very, very dangerous. And if you're not already on board, there's no trades to be getting involved in here, unless you believe in the push to the upside. Because if you do, then obviously we've got to look at gold. But let's have a look at what's happened to gold since that move. There was a gap at the start of the day, but we're pretty much back on where that gap is. Now, if this is going to go, it'll probably go from either this point, possibly it comes and fills that gap and then goes as well. But it just doesn't look that attractive. You know, on the dailies, it still looks like it's kind of caged in this level. If you compare that to what's happened with silver, silver's well and truly broken out. You know, that's gone for the day. But everything is suggesting at this stage that you know, it's going to be all about retracement rather than anything else. So not too interested in looking at it. I'm the same as you, mate. I think that this is a fairly. It looks a little bit dangerous, doesn't it? You know, to try and
impossible
to try
to
and yeah, impossible.
I agree. Well, the only reason that I agree is this is a bit weird. I play a solid silver flute. It's quite an old one.
All right.
Flute makers aren't making flutes out of silver. They've got inventory as long as the garage. Nobody's buying it. So I just wonder whether the Reddit crowd this time have gone after the wrong thing, where they might get burnt.
Well, it depends. It depends where they got in. You know, obviously, sort of everybody that got in at the end of Friday, they've made a lot of money pretty quickly with the price. You know, where it is. It's can't tell exactly how far that's gone up, but if you've bought silver here, you bought it at the end of the day, or I mean, this movement was happening on Friday, so let's say they bought the open and see what the you know, they're up 16%. That's a pretty good return on your capital. You know, that's enviable for most funds over a year long period. So they've gone after the right one in accordance to that. All I hope is that they go after something that I own and do the same to that. But I don't own silver, and you know, everybody knows that I want to try and get involved in the silver and gold market. So I am watching it, but I can't justify it, and it's suggesting, you know, this is the sort of thing that can happen. Let's just have a look at a comparison of something that moved parabolically recently, and it was this ITM Power. ITM Power has been something that I've been watching, you know, for a long time, because I like the story of. Sorry, let me bring that back to this and check so it's a little bit easier to see. Here we go. ITM Power is I'm really interested because of the hydrogen story. Now, from the point that I was looking at it initially, when I did buy some here and I made some money, but I didn't hold it right to the top, and I've been kicking myself ever since. That was up from October, 226%. Massive move to the upside. Now, on Friday, this one started to fall, and it fell down relatively significantly. So it was up to 20, and then it ended up, come down here, you. Ended up being down by 40%. So, not massive if you've got it in from down here. But if you were one of the people that bought here, now you're starting to panic a little bit. So as soon as the Reddit crowd clear out of whatever it is they own, then there's trouble. And we can have a look at let's have a look at GameStop, and see what's happened to GameStop since there it is. Since they called it. I mean, it's huge volatility with this one. Yeah, all over the place, isn't it? They getting down here, then they have managed to kind of like get the price well above, what they've done to silver, 1,000%, in the course of since the 22nd, in the course of 5 or so days. They managed to push it up 1,000%, but I wouldn't want to get caught in up at these levels. There were still people buying here, and we can see that price is still higher than the very lowest point that happened on Friday. But this, it's a game that I just wouldn't want to get involved in unless I wanted to get involved in down here. Now, Shukri knows all about this stuff, and this stuff goes on with cryptos all the time, but it's quite surprising, and I think it's taken people by the hop that this is happening now in stocks. But all they need to do is find a stock which has got a low enough value for them to buy a chunk of it, and they're able to move the market, and they can catch people off guard. Now, there's two ways you try and trade it. You either get yourself a Reddit account and see what they're moving at next and try and trade it, or you figure out that eventually the intrinsic value will pay a significant part of it, and all those people that bought at the highs are going to get caught out as everybody starts to pile in at a genuine price at the short, or you just pick stocks that are a lot more liquid, so this kind of thing can't happen to it. So that's why gold. That's another reason that gold will be less likely to do the same thing, because the Reddit crowd can't afford to buy gold at $1,800 an ounce, but they can afford to buy silver at $26 an ounce.
But as I said, I would imagine that leverage is playing a big part in this, because they're not putting billions of dollars in the market. I wouldn't have thought. They might be on a leverage basis, but not on a cash basis.
Well, the thing is, they don't need to, because if they've got 100,000 members, I don't know how many they've got, but if they've got 100,000 members and they can all, let's say they all have the chance to put in $100 each, you're looking at $10 million, and that's a fair.
10 million is not going to move it that far, though.
In a stock like this, it would. Depends on market cap too, I suppose. Yeah, exactly. When we're looking at things with a small market cap here, that's what they're going after. Because when they were buying it, it was at $25. So they've picked, and that's interesting, isn't it? If you think about it, this was at $25. Silver was also at $25. So what that tells us is that at this stage, we can probably assume that anything $30, anything north of $30, maybe, or certainly $50, let's go double, may be protected from this kind of thing. Anything in the band of 25, between 10 and 25, or 10 to 30, might be subject to these kind of moves, and it means that all those penny stock traders, for want of a better term, cheap stock traders, all of a sudden have liquidity boosts that can come into this.
Yeah, this might show why Reddit gives it so much power. Apparently, they have 330 million active monthly users.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. Right, now you're talking.
Yeah. So it only takes a chunk of that. Let's say they do manage to get a third. And the thing is, the active users on Reddit won't all be people that are willing to do this kind of thing to the market. But if they've seen it happen to GameStop, it'll be a lot easier for them to trigger the next one and the next
Well,
one. And the
yeah,
next
they'll
one.
be now getting exciting, won't they?
Yeah, yeah.
And you can imagine that social media is going off its head, and the Reddit crowd are just going, "Oh, look what we did last week! Look what we did!"
Yeah, absolutely.
Join in the fun.
And the question now comes in is how does Wall Street combat this? How do the big guns start combating moves like this?
You can guarantee there's a lot of meetings taking place at the moment.
Yeah,
over that very thing.
Yeah.
And once they work it out, you'd want to be on the short side of those stocks anyway.
This might be a moral question. It'll be a quick one. I have a certain amount of sympathy, but in a way I don't, because isn't what that's being done to them a case of what they do all the time?
Yeah.
So in one way, I've got a bit of sympathy because a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money. But in another way, I haven't got any sympathy whatsoever because they do it to me every day.
Yeah,
I'm losing my trades. So
and I know what you mean, mate. Because the issue here is the fact that it's not just the city that are moving out. Unfortunately, there are people that have their pension funds with those brokers, and they're the people that will ultimately get hurt. And that's that's the ugly side of it. I completely agree, but
it is difficult to imagine. Sorry, John, you go.
Yeah, I feel sorry for the people who are going to use their pensions or have their pensions affected because they won't be sure that the money that their pension, the hedge fund that their money is in, is actually part of this sort of hammering on this one particular bet. The other question I have is, and this might seem really simplistic, how can they all be so, I was going to say the word stupid, you can tell me off if you want, on being on, what did that guy say? Being everybody on one side of the boat. How can these hedge funds be so much short on one stock?
Yeah, that'd be the question I'd be asking too, mate. I mean,
I can't understand that.
If they haven't got a portfolio balanced enough to withstand that one stock loss, then something's wrong.
Absolutely right, and I would suspect that that there will be hedge funds that won't be anywhere near as hurt as others. So there'll be some hedge funds that have over leveraged themselves, and they shouldn't be as short in GameStop. But the reason it won't bring Wall Street to its knees is that most of them will be sensible enough to maybe have a 3% of their portfolio in the shorting of something like that. So they won't be too worried. But do you know what else becomes really fascinating is the COT report, because the COT report is there to give us an insight into what the big players in the market are doing. Now, the big players in the market are not currently that heavily long on silver, and yet the price of silver is jettisoned to the upside in the way that it has today. So what does it start to do to things like that? And of course, the answer is that you have to change your time horizon all the time with stuff like that. So the question is how sustainable it is. How long will silver and GameStop and whatever else they decide to manipulate stay in these elevated prices? And it's got to be ultimately down to intrinsic value, and it is making a mockery of all the education that people have put themselves through to try and find and value stock so they can make a sensible decision. It could be really whoever shouts the loudest right now is going to be the winner for this period. But what an interesting start to the year. I always think, what's the theme of the year? And I wonder whether the theme of this year is going to be retail traders that can move certain markets, and whether you can predict what the next one's going to be. As I say, I hope they jump on some of the things that I own and start pushing those things higher.
My immediate reaction to that is they'll ban leverage on trading accounts.
That's what I thought.
Oh, really? You think so?
Well, my immediate thing was, if this doesn't calm down, the governments who, no two ways about it, they're the governments and the markets and things, they've got to make sure economies don't crash. I just thought the regulators will step in. And, I think, didn't Robinhood end up dying in the end? He got hung on a road somewhere.
Robinhood.
Question. I don't know how he is. Did he meet a grisly end? Did he? I don't know.
I think he did. I just thought that, like Jeff, that leverage, because leverage in Australia is going to be regulated, isn't it? I think.
Yep.
So I wonder, will they look at Aussie and go, yeah, you know what, we can't really afford to lose all this money all the time. Let's make sure that we're keeping the playing field leveled in our favour.
Actually, do you know what, John? I think you make a fascinating point because I hadn't really considered that particular angle, but the crypto market has completely changed because if you look at a lot of the UK brokers, they are not now allowed to have cryptos on their platforms unless they go through certain regulations. So they've already kind of, looked at an asset class that does have that high volatility and can just run people over. So they are regulating in certain areas. So you're absolutely right. When it comes down to it, maybe the way that Wall Street beats it is with regulation. Maybe governments step in and help Wall Street out, which they obviously have to do. So yeah, I guess this particular phase or period may only last for 6 months to a year, which means that maybe trying to get involved and enjoying it right now would be the wise thing to do. Hedge funds usually
interesting
hedge.
Point is, as soon as control is even under threat, there'll be moves and measures to stop that happening. Because the people with the vested interest in that not happening will, and they've got a lot of clout, at the end of the day. And it's the same with, and that's why I've always said that Bitcoin may well be a leader and a pointer towards what we're going to be looking at in the future.
Yeah.
But and we've spoken about this at length. I can't believe that Bitcoin will be the major currency in 5 years' time. It might be the technology that gave us Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But it won't be Bitcoin.
Yeah. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
It might be China coin. It might be,
the crypto dollar.
Base coin, or it could be anything.
Yeah.
But I don't believe it'll be Bitcoin. But, whilst you're on a good thing, stick to it, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, this is it. Absolutely. Sorry, I was just having a look at the room. So hedge funds usually hedge, but they wouldn't expect a VAR of 11% move. No, and that's the thing, isn't it? Because a hedge fund's job is to pick two stocks and say this one will outperform this one. So I'm going to buy this one and hedge out some of the market risk with this one. But if they're not hedging out the market risk, if the stock that they've bought hasn't gone up at all, with something like GameStop. I mean, let's say they bought, what would they necessarily? Well, it's probably be another fairly small stock within that industry, within that sector. And if that one might have even gone down, so it might even be more than 11%. That's the thing. So I think it's purely manipulation, and when the music stops for GME, game over. Yeah, I agree with you, and stop those who have bought at the high price level. We'll make them realise that, yeah, well, this is the thing, isn't it? I mean, we always expect that the market will eventually settle down and find some honesty, but it's how long that you can accept and take the pain of when it goes wrong. How many people will it chew up and spit out in that particular period, while we wait for that to happen. And it could be a lot. Now, interesting. So the euro Swissy, just to get back to trading, and a possible trading opportunity. Euro Swissy, interesting one to maybe look for today. We've got just a little bit of weaker numbers from Europe. German retail sales came in at a massive negative 9.6%. Retail sales on opposed to that was the Swissy that came in at plus 4.7%. So the retail sales battle has been won by the Swissy. So you'd imagine that the euro would probably not have enough confidence to push higher here. Now let's just check this on longer term timeframes. Are we at a resistance point? Well, we could be at the weekly pivot if we start pushing down a little bit here. Yeah, it looks like there's a little horizontal level here. So there could be a little bit of an opportunity here, mate. Let's just have a look what the 5 is saying. Yeah, there's a potential short-term opportunity. Don't particularly like the setup. Just waiting for some numbers.
There, isn't it?
Yeah, interesting one. I'd say a short under this bar is the wisest choice. Let's just see what. Yeah, you know what? Those numbers from Switzerland look pretty good. Let's just see what that is. 8 up. Yeah, it looks like a little even money trade there. Let's put a little bit on and see what we get. Let's just see what. I might have to look at this. Might have to look at this in a little while and come back to it. The FTSE 100, I'm not seeing. Let's just have a look at the price action of the stock market so far, and you can see that the Spanish stock market has gapped to the upside so far this morning, and it looks like we're basing out down here. You know, when I look at some of these, it looks to me like some of these stocks might start basing out as we hit the start of the month. What are you looking at, mate?
Dollar Swissy.
Dollar Swissy, what's going on? Downside?
No, it's just smashed it.
Oh, okay.
Smashed through the ceiling.
Okay.
And it was a pretty strong ceiling too. Playing out inverted head and shoulders at the moment.
I wonder how long that'll last. Italian manufacturing PMI is coming at 55.1 of a previous read of 52.8. So, you know, we can see here now. I don't think these numbers are stellar, but German retail sales coming in weaker than expected. Okay, that's not great. But retail sales in Switzerland came in much better than expected and much higher than previous. Spanish manufacturing PMIs are weak again, which is not too good. And you can see, they're not awful. They're not back down here. But you can see that it spends its life generally in positive territory. So another dip below 50 isn't a great sign. But Swiss PMIs, another boost to the upside, and Italian PMIs, mate, coming in stronger than expected. So these numbers aren't suggesting an economy which is absolutely bleeding. So with that, that's why, you know, when I'm looking at this, okay, the dollar Swiss is on its way, and we can have a think about why that's doing that later on. And I suspect the dollar yen would be a better play in some respects. But the dollar Swiss is suggesting risk on, and dollar yen moving where it is currently is expressing a bit of risk on. Now, going to these markets, this is why I wouldn't mind picking something up here.
Thing.
Yeah, I'd like to pick the FTSE 100 up, but down here, and I might even put an order in here. Let's put an order in the market and see what we get. So 64 is going to be around about the 64.10 area, maybe 64.15. I want it under the daily pivot. I want it down on the monthly pivot and then to bounce, but I've got to just double check what the weekly is going to hold it up. I don't think there's enough risk to reward. Okay, I can't just take the trade. I can't just take a price. I'm going to need to see it level out. And the reason I need to see it level out is that if I'm going to make anything like a decent risk reward ratio, the weekly pivot and the lower price here is just too far away. So I'm going to wait on this, but I am definitely looking at a long FTSE today. Now that dollar Swissy it just concerns me a bit about the euro Swissy as well. I do suspect that that there could be an opportunity there, but let's have a look at the euro dollar. Yeah, that's crashing.
Yeah, I think it's a dollar story, mate. Really.
Although, yeah, what's going on with the pound?
We're out of our trade. And the computer trade is still going. So it was a loss on ours. Okay.
All right, mate. Well, should we have a look around the grounds and see if anything else throws itself up? Just checking the I'll shout out the French manufacturing PMIs in a moment, but things don't look that bad. I have to say, during this whole but during this whole pullback that we've seen in markets, haven't really seen numbers too bad. We've seen a big move from the downside, a bit of profit taken at the highs. This isn't suggestive, from what I can see with the numbers, of a market which is going to be on its knees really anytime soon. So I'm really quite happy to stay bullish on the markets for right now. That might end up being a right shoulder, that level there. But as things stand, I'm okay to buy this stuff up. But yeah, should we have a look around the grounds, mate, and see what we if there's anything else? I know you said that there wasn't anything today, which I appreciate.
Yeah, look, I'm going to go back in time. I'm going to do a time tunnel thing and go back to last week, because most of the people in this room wouldn't be aware of what was going on last week anyway, because you weren't in the trading retreat. But I was looking very closely, as were I think everybody in the trading retreat, was looking to trade Aussie Kiwi. Now, my thing with Aussie Kiwi was, we started the week here, right? Sorry, here. We started the week here. I was looking for a pullback to probably the weekly pivot, and certainly this level here, to play a short. And it just wouldn't set up. It wouldn't retrace at all. So just about every man and his dog was looking for a long. I wasn't ready to trade it long either, because I didn't have a higher low, which was all very interesting. At the end of the day, I didn't get a trade in. But now we're pretty much where the target area for the short would have been, which is the bottom of this range here. Sorry, range for me, guys, if you're joining for the first time. I don't care whether it's sideways, upside down, or back to front. As long as something's going from top to bottom and bottom to top, I call it a range. So this channel for mine is a range. And I was looking for the monthly pivot last month to provide us with something. Didn't. Interestingly, we smashed through the bottom of that range. The interesting part about that, again, is the inverted head and shoulders that we saw that drove, well, I'll say it drove the market up to here, has pretty much failed, but we're back at that exact level. So I'm happy to still look for a long here to play back to this area, because I think that's kind of where we'll finish up. Maybe not this month, maybe not even this quarter, but I think we'll finish up there at some stage. To pick that up now is going to be a bit of a trick, of course. You need to understand the way I look at things, and that is, once we've gone this far, we need to have a reversal pattern, and there is no reversal pattern here that I can see at the moment. I can see a range. Do I want to trade that range? Probably not, because it's not in a great spot. But what I will be looking for is maybe even now on this small time frame, an hourly time frame, we've got a big bullish engulfing bar. Potentially we've got a higher low coming up here. If that were to be the case, we might even be able to find a trade to trade it long on a retracement. I'm okay with that, and certainly if we get back above that line, I'll be looking to trade long anyway, trading the range just back to the top here. And however long that takes, it doesn't really matter. We got into a trade short CAD Swissy, this trade here last week, trading a false break of this trade line. It was a double pump, actually. The Bactrian was in play. For those of you who don't know what on earth I'm talking about, that's a double humped camel. And I like to use imagery in my trading. So one hump, two humps, one lump or two, right? And then we got a retest. So we traded short here. We took TP1, but our target area, we're only using 2 targets on this, or a target on this after TP1. So that turned out to be a break-even trade as the market just went whoosh back up there. Now, well, things have changed. I don't have that trade line anymore, so it's useless. Reason it's now been violated too many times. And really what I'm looking at now is a mess. So I think I'll sack CAD Swissy for now until it hits an extreme. So that one's gone. Euro Yen, I've still got an open order on this, and it was on the weekly chart. I think that's pretty much a waste of time at the moment in terms of tradability, but gee whiz, I'm still keen on it. Maybe I'll leave it there because really not a lot has changed except that it's getting a bit long in the tooth. And what I'm referring to here is exactly as I've just described on CAD Swissy. Remember, we had a double pump here across the trade line, back underneath and retested. Well, Euro Yen's exactly the same, except it hasn't given us a double pump. It's only got one. So we broke this line here, consolidated above it. We've got a strong horizontal level here. We've got a confluence area given to us by that trade line, or trend line's the same thing. And we've got another horizontal level, this one here, that's also been false broken. So to my mind, if price were to come back here, it's going to here. and probably that level there. And again, that's going to take some time to get there, but I'm leaving that order in the market. So if you want to follow that, there are the levels there. 125.05 is my entry. Stop loss at 126.45, and I'm going to take my first profit at 124.25. Those of you who don't know how I trade, TP1 means take half of your stake off the table, so bank half and move your stop loss exactly the same amount of pips that you took at TP1. In this case, that would be only 20 pips. You move your stops then 20 pips from entry, which would mean that, sorry, when I say 20 pips, that's not true. That's 80 pips. So you would move your stops 80 pips from entry rather than what it currently is, which is 140. So that gives you a free trade. That's the whole idea of that system. So that's still valid. Swissy yen joined today's watch list for the week. I've only got 3 pairs on the watch list this week. This is one. Why? That's why. Because we're at this level here, which has been very, very strong. I'll put that level on the chart so you can see it pretty clearly. There's a bit of a cloud of a price. Let's call it 118, shall we? Why not? So price doesn't like getting above 118 since when? 2016. And the reason I fear that it went through this level here is, and of course you can see the decoupling of the euro to the Swissy there, that just threw everything into disarray. But it hasn't been above that level prior or really since that period of time, which of course was in that incredible period where the euro was decoupled from the Swissy. So why now? Why is it going back there now? And I can't answer that question positively or affirmatively. So I think this has got to go again and have another look at lower levels. So that's my bias. Trading that, of course, at the moment is not easy from the way I trade, but what we do have here is a very clear scenario. We've got a false break at this stage, so a lower high here really does make sense to me. So if we can pick up a lower high on one of the time frames, I probably don't want to go much below 4 hours, to be fair, because this needs a bit of breathing space. You can see it's been pretty volatile in the last few days. Interesting, we've smashed through the daily, we've smashed through the weekly, we've smashed through the monthly pivot. I think a pullback to preference, weekly pivot. Daily pivot's fine. If it gets back to there, gives us a lower high, I think that's going to be tradable also. I won't go through the rest of last week because I've already told you about dollar yen, and wow, that still looks strong, doesn't it? Those of you who were in that with me last week, we've now moved our stop loss below the weekly pivot to 104.25. Nothing to do there. Just let that one run. The two I've added this week are CAD yen. Exactly the same scenario as I've just described on Swissy yen, I think. Except the Swissy yen has moved on news, as Ash has spoken about before. I've got another level here that is pretty strong. As you can see through here, it's been support and resistance all the way through. We're there again. So I'm looking for a bounce off that. So again, on any time frame, back to here, give me a lower high, that becomes tradable, probably down to the bottom of that range that you can see. So around about the 81 mark, I'll be looking to trade that. And the other one is pound CAD. And it's pretty much for exactly the same reason. That reason being, yes, again, we are at a strong resistance area. So it's not rocket science for me this week. It's just playing off the tops. And if they break out, of course, they go. The trick here is don't get caught into one of those. But this looks very much like a double top on the daily chart. So let's get below the weekly pivot, come back and retest it, give me a lower high, and that's what I'll be looking to trade. Everything else is on hold at the moment, and it looks very much like we're going to lose that computer trade on the pound US dollar as well as it comes back. So not a great start to the breakout trade for the week. we'll see if that can improve tomorrow.
Yeah, looks like a bit, as you say, mate, a bit of dollar strength as we start the month, and seasonally the dollar is due to strengthen this month. You know,
interesting.
Yeah, we've been waiting for quite some time for the seasonals to kind of start meeting what's going on with the COT data, and the seasonals are now suggesting dollar strength, which is also, I think it also brings in an important point to think about with gold as well, because obviously if we're looking at the gold price, it's going to be traded against the dollar, and I suspect we might not see the rally in gold. Lewis asking about the big gap, and under normal circumstances price will always cover the gap. How likely will this happen with silver? In my opinion, I think it probably will, but I'm reticent to put any money onto that because of the external factors that we just don't seem to have any control over. So as you say, mate, the big term there is normal, and I just don't think that we can class this as normal. So I prefer to stay out of silver. I'm not really interested. I want to buy. I'm not interested in selling either gold or silver. I want them both lower, and I think they probably will go lower, but there are important factors that are involved with gold and silver that I think that it means that they should really be part of a portfolio. So I don't really fancy looking at shorts on either of those. I just fancy looking at whether it'll come down to the price that I'm interested in and see if I can pick it up. Now, silver.
Go Big O, how you doing, buddy?
We got Orlando in the YouTube room. I suspect. Is that what you're looking at?
Yes.
Awesome. How you doing, man? Yeah. So yeah, any trade to short silver, Roy's asking. Not for me, Roy. Not for me. I don't think we can play with it. I really don't. I think that yes, there is some resistance here, but we know what's pushed the price up, and if these players are in the market, we just don't know how long it's going to go. You saw how volatile that GameStop stock was. So do we really want to play the same thing with silver? The question is, are we going to get a decent indication of when they are clearing out the way? And if they do, then yes, I'll be happy to short silver. But right now, I wouldn't.
Have you got their Twitter feed?
No, I did have a look at Reddit as a website. It's very messy. It's a difficult website to kind of to navigate around. I'm sure people with more experience with the website than I would be able to say otherwise, but I don't like it at all. I think it's a horrible website personally. There's so much vitriol on it as well, you know. There's sort of inevitably, you know, this is sort of, it feels very teenage, you know. If you go and have a look at it, mate, it feels very teenage because the language, every second word is swearing.
Well, that's what it is, isn't it?
I guess so. Yeah, I guess it is. And I know when you're a teenager, you kind of the way that you show your status is by swearing a lot, but as you get older, you realise that it just makes you sound a bit thick.
You got a fag hanging out of your mouth and you swear a lot.
Yeah.
Is it still the same?
Yeah, it's still the same. It's still the same. So I just because I'm not in that headspace anymore, I'm finding it difficult to kind of sift through what people are actually saying. So yeah, I it's not a website that I'll enjoy looking at. I want somebody just to give me some information, you know, and I guess I wouldn't mind if every second word was a swear word, if there was some information in there as well. But at this stage, I can't filter out the stuff to know what they're telling me. So I'm going to need somebody else. To see if they can understand Reddit for me and tell me what's actually going on.
Fair call, mate.
Okay.
And I'm exactly the same. Well, I won't trade it anyway because I don't trade stocks. It's just not in my thing. But I'm a currency dude, and as such, these lower highs are now becoming a real thing for me today. It may well be the case that in the morning I'll be looking to trade a few of these short because they're all coming off resistance. Yeah, which is cool.
Okay, mate. I better get out of here.
You're going to fly, mate, or you'll be in deep SH1T.
Yep. So as always, thank you guys, and I will see you in the morning. Have a good one, buddy, and everybody else in the room. Have a good one. See you tomorrow.
Okie dokie. I'm not going to hang around for too much longer either, guys. I've given you pretty much what I'm looking for. It is a Monday, so it's kind of the time where I set up the week, and I won't go through too many more. If you're hanging on to dollar yen, then I can't see any reason why that will change anytime soon. We are almost clear of this resistance area, and I keep having a look at the dollar index, and the dollar index is telling me we're at resistance, yes. But if we can get through here, then 91, 92 are definitely in play. You do have this inverted head and shoulders there as well. Look, am I being optimistic because I'm in that trade? Maybe I am, because at the end of the day, this is in a range, and it hasn't gone anywhere anytime over the last, 2 months? Month and a half anyway. How long, when we get in here? Oh, it was only early December. So 2 months we've been in this range. I've got no reason to think that we're going to, 95, 96 or back to parity. Don't see that happening. But at the moment, it's bullish without question. And I'm happy to ride that out. We've got nothing to lose. We're trailing in profit, so all good. Don't do anything with it. If you start to see little reversals, we're protected by the weekly pivot. And if it goes beyond the weekly pivot, who cares? We've banked a couple of things. The other one, I think the pound coming off is interesting. I think Aussie Kiwi is still interesting because we have smashed through that support level. As I said before, am I on the wrong chart? Probably am for Aussie Kiwi. There we go. Go back to that one. So, yeah, look, I'm looking for a bounce here. Why this level? Good question. But to trade it, really, I'd need to see it back inside this channel. But that is my preference. I think we're up here at some stage, but getting it there, of course, is another story. We've spoken about Swissy yen. It's exactly, everything's the same. We're coming off the tops. We're coming off strong resistance. We're looking for lower highs on just about everything I'm looking at. Pound CAD's the same. CAD yen's the same. So that's about it, guys. If you have any questions, then throw them in the chat box. But at the end of the day, that's kind of where I'm at, and I don't see anything changing anytime soon. The Reddit story is extremely interesting. My son rang me over the weekend, which is a bit of a bonus for me because he doesn't ring me. He said, "What the hell's going on, Dad?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" Because he thinks I trade everything. I don't. I only trade currencies. So I had no idea what had happened on Friday. And he started telling me what was going on. And he's what is he, 35? So he's in the middle there somewhere between millennial and whatever the one before that was. Maybe he's Gen Y. Yeah, I think so. But he doesn't trade. But he's a very studious person. So everything moves and opens and shuts, he's on top of. And he's looking for advice on how to deal with that and how to trade with that. And we've spoken about that at length today. No idea. Absolutely no idea. Yes, it will correct. Got no problem with that. It will correct. And trading that, really good luck, because it's just, from a risk point of view, you've got a stock, if you like, that's absolutely gone nuts for, I won't say no particular reason, but a reason that is unfathomable in terms of common sense, or in terms of intrinsic value, or in terms of market value, if you like. So you've got to then consider, all right, the people who have forced that to happen are probably not people who have got any idea what they're doing. Well, that's not true. There will be people who know what they're doing, but there'll be a lot of followers there. So there'll be a lot of sheep, a lot of lemmings, herd mentality, precisely, John. I have no idea how to deal with that, except to say that is the however many million we just spoke about, and I can't remember how many million that was, but it's a big number in that herd, John. How many of them have not yet invested? 330 million. How many of them have not yet invested and have seen what that movement has done and can then go, because they've got no idea of intrinsic value or anything, market structure or anything like that, that they're fearless, right? What if they all chuck in now another 20, 30 bucks each or $100 each, and suddenly there's another $1 billion put into the market. It's not beyond thinking, right? So there'll be people like me who woke up yesterday and had no idea what had happened until my son, contacted me. So those people may be yet to invest or yet to trade, yet to put their money on the table. And the euphoria around such things, look at Bitcoin, right? For instance, the euphoria around such things will, exactly right. They'll see what's happened and their mates will be saying, I just made $100,000 on an investment of whatever. So that contagion, if you like, will force them to trade, to put some money on the table. Where does that end? I've got no idea. Absolutely no idea. If you could measure how many of that 330 million have already invested and how many are yet to invest or trade or whatever you want to call it, gamble, I would have called it, then you've got an idea, but you've got no measuring stick. So that makes it extremely, extremely difficult to know what to do next. If you are of an opinion that they've all hit their bank account and there now maybe aren't too many left to invest, then a short makes sense. I get that entirely. But there's many better ways to make money, in my opinion, and over a longer period of time. If you want to speculate, by all means, put a little bit of money on it. I've got no problem with that. But don't think that you're going to put half your house on it or anything like that, and one trade and you've made for life. It does happen, but by gee, do you want to lose half? Don't think so. So that's kind of my little editorial anyway. I have no idea what happens next. Absolutely no idea. But I don't need to know. All I need to know is I'll just do what I do each and every day and everything will be okay. So guys, that's it. The pound breakout trade was a failure on both systems today. And that's why, as I continue to say, whilst it's in test mode, we need to caution you to not put any meaningful money on it at all. But we'll get it right. We'll get it so it works consistently. And like I said, the computer is hitting 70-odd% win-loss. That excites me. That's really cool. Going to leave you with it, guys. Have a great week and a great rest of Monday. Enjoy what Reddit brings you throughout the week. It should be very, very interesting. We'll catch up with you tomorrow at the very same time. Bye-bye for now.